I've been doing a lot of Dominaria drafting, so I wanted to give you guys my thoughts after 10 drafts of the format. Um, 7, oh wait, 8 matches, and just let you know what I've found so far about the format, and share my information. First off, format is very slow. Um, there are a lot of pretty decent aggressive 2/2 creatures in this format, but a lot of them are hard countered by the amount of 1/3s that are just incidentally making it in people's decks, and you better believe that they're going to have some 1/3s in the sideboard for you. Even, like, they're not even going to try, they're just going to get it as a stick. So, you can try for an aggressive deck, and I certainly have tried. It just, I did win, but it was very uphill, and your opponent really kind of has to let you get there. Um, that said, you can play a aggressive deck that kind of transitions into a mid-range deck, with cards like Dauntless Bodyguard, for instance, that are just very good at putting on pressure early, but are also good utility late. But generally, rule of thumb, stay away from aggro. Stay towards slower control decks. Second rule, stay out of black. Um, I know I say this a lot, but it's actually true. Black is horrible in this format. It is embarrassingly bad. The other colors have so much going for them. You'd expect black to have some halfway decent creatures to like supplement. But you take a look. You have a vanilla 2/2. Every other color has like a 2/2 with upside, at least one of them, or a 1/3 with upside. You have this. We're looking at commons here. This is not a good trick. This is not good. This is not good. This is pretty good, but it's the type of thing you only want one or two of. It's not something you want to fill your deck with. We're looking at commons, by the way. This you want one or two of, and there's another card that does the same thing, basically. This is pretty good, not great. This is overrated as hell, and is not very good, but we'll get to that. This is not playable. This is pretty bad. This is really good. This is pretty bad. This is pretty bad. This is really bad. Oh, pretty bad, I guess. This is the other thing that does the exact same thing as Dark Bargain. This one's pretty good. This one's pretty good. This one's really good. So you have 4 good commons, and the rest are kind of shit. Like, there are a couple ones that kind of fill the gaps. But if you're sitting at a table and not all of them know just how bad black is, let them do it. Don't bother. Let them fall into that trap. You're going to be better off not playing black, and if you do play black, I would recommend splashing it rather than playing it straight up. Like a couple of the cards, like even like Eviscerate, is technically splashable. So look to splash, don't look to play. Next up, in regards to splashing, the green decks in this format can be 3 to 4 colors very easily, and you can play a very good 4-color green deck, and I have on multiple occasions. With splashing here, the biggest thing is Grow from the Ashes. This card is really impressive, and we'll get into a little bit more about why that is, but the first thing you know is that it lets you get both your splash lands. It lets you splash some things normally aren't very splashable. It doesn't let you get insanely greedy, but the ramp is actually really nice for every deck, which I'll talk about more later. And the fact that the lands come into play untapped is really good too. And I mean, this is just a great card in every deck, and it's one that'll help you play 3 to 4 colors. Past that, you have some other ways to splash. If it really comes down to that, you have Llanowar Envoy, which helps you splash. And I believe there's one more, but I may be wrong. Song of the Frailes, which also kinda helps you splash. I think that's it. Yeah. Song of the Frailes helps you splash for 2 turns. Really 1 turn, depending on the point of the game it is. So yeah, green has a lot of good ways to splash, notably Grow from the Ashes, which is one of the most underrated cards of the set. Last time we've seen a card that I think Wizards was intending to be kind of bottom tier that searches for lands like this was the one that made 2 energy. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I didn't play enough Standard. a tune from with Aether or something like that, and green was hella good, just because their commons were just all standouts. But anyway, let's move on from there. As I was mentioning earlier, the format is slow. I recommend playing no less than 17 lands. As I kind of briefly mentioned, every deck is going to have very good kicker utility. Some decks will have like ways that are uncommon and even common to win the game if you have enough mana. So having a mana advantage, hitting your land drop every turn is essential in this format. More so than I think ever before. So no less than 17 lands, guys. You're not going to feel very good when your opponent's kicking shit and you just are basically doing small stuff. Like, the spells will be big enough on your opponent's end to make up for the fact that they don't have quite as many. So yeah, no less than 17 lands. Getting into that a little bit, ramp is always good. Always good. That means turn 5 ramp is good. Turn 6 ramp is good. Even kinda turn 7 ramp is good. Which is another reason why Girl from the Ashes is really good, is because going from 3, or I guess going from 5 to 7 is relevant in every deck. Because then you're starting to look at cards. There's a cycle of cards, I believe, that all kick and do some really nice things at common. Starting with Sergeant at Arms. Going into blue, we have Academy Drake. Going into black, we have the worst, I think, the Confessor, which is good, but doesn't require ramp. Going into red, we have Chronicler, which I really like. I think this is one of my favorite cards of the set. Even though a lot of the red decks don't love it, I love it. Going into green, we have the Baloth Gorger. So that's a really strong cycle of kicker cards, and that doesn't include some of the really good uncommon kickers, and you also have more kickers at common. You have Sapperling Migration. You have a ton of kickers. You're going to have kickers. So ramping at any point in the game is good. If you can find a way to do that, that is nice. Besides the Goblin that sacks for lands. That one's horrible. Any other way to ramp, do that. Next up, I know you guys think I will say that green is the best color in the set. I often do. It is not the best color in the set. Straight up, easily the best color in the set is blue. And we can go over that now. They have the best common in the set. Right here, Cloud Reader Sphinx. I don't know how many of you were around for Prescient Chimera. I think it was fairly recent though. I think it was Theros. But that was like the best common there. I believe Cloud Reader Sphinx is just a strict upgrade. Prescient Chimera was like Scry when you cast spells. This one's just enter the battlefield Scry 2. And it's a 3/4 flyer for 5. It's just insane. It is way too good at common. It is the best common in the format. It's very hard to lose when you have one or two of these played in the game. So yeah, we're taking a look at the other commons. Blink of an Eye is a functional reprint on Into the Royal, very good card. Academy Drake is very good. Jordy Mage is pretty good. It's very good. I mean, it's Void Mage, but better, I think. Artificer's Assistant, not so good. Befuddle, not so good. Arcane Flight has its moments, actually. You need to know what deck you're playing it in, but sometimes you can do it. Deep Freeze is excellent. It's blue's removal. Anytime blue gets really good removal, you know they're up to something good. Snapper's Sideboard. Divination's good. And Bolus's Clutches is one of the best bombs of the format, and it's at uncommon. So that's another big contributing factor to why blue is so good, is this card. Yeah, there's like 80% of blue or more is like really good. A lot of it is situationally pretty good. Yeah, blue is insane. If you can be blue, if you see some Cloud Reader Sphinxes pretty late, pick them up, probably, and just play them. Like, blue is just the way you want to be this format. As a whole, I think the color rating system does go blue is the best, then green, then red and white are pretty close. Red has the edge on card quality. White has the edge on synergy. I think that's generally how it goes. Um, White does some pretty nice things when paired with like green. Does some pretty good things paired with blue. If you look at the some of the, I mean, their multicolor blue-white card is really good, and the deck I played with it was really nice. This one, Raf. But red has Shivan Breath, which is like Burst Lightning, which is really good. And that's just like one common. The red is really good. Like, I often play red in this format. Chronicler, I think, is very, very good. It's like Archivist with upside because it's good against aggro too, which is like insane. And it also gets back instance, so you're not even linear that way. Red has a lot of really good shit. Like Chronicler, do not underestimate this card. This card is insane, but we'll talk more about that in a second. Yeah, Raiders. All these Keldon cards are pretty good. Like, just not a lot that's actually that bad for them. They have like Warcry Phoenix and Uncommon. Wizard's Lightning's great. Like, a lot of their uncommons are really good. A lot of their rares are pretty good. Red is a good place to be. Just doesn't synergize quite as well as white, and white is still very good. And as you all kind of figured, black is definitely last. It's pretty embarrassing, actually. Pretty sad. But let's start talking about overrated and underrated cards. I guess we're starting with overrated here, because I see Chainer's Torment. I've played against this card in 2 games off of different decks. You know what happened both times? This card actually killed them. Like, I was ahead, they cast this, suddenly they're a card down. I even had, in one of the games, I had the opportunity to kill it with the white removal spell. But I didn't, because I knew they were going to have to sacrifice half their life total. And that just was game over. You can bounce the token with the Eye card, you know the one I'm talking about, the Into the Royal card. You can kill it with removal spells, which there's plenty of. You can chump block it. It doesn't even have flying. Like, so this card is actually actively bad. You are better off playing a land than this card. And there will be like one game where some guy's like, "Oh, dude, this card won me the game." He'd be like, "Really? Did it really win you the game?" In most situations where this card would win you the game, most other cards would win you the game too. Most other good cards. Like, if this is winning you the game, you're already winning, and you just need a little bit more pressure. And Chainer's Torment is not the way to go to get that. This card is bad. Do not play it. Next up is Eldest Reborn. I've played against this card. Wow, so much now. So much. I've played against it like where somebody cast it 3 times in a game by like that blue-black multicolor card that exiles it and recasts it. I just didn't care. I never gave a shit. There are so many kind of shitty creatures in this format that on turn 5, making your opponent sack a creature is worth barely anything, if anything. Making your opponent discard the turn after you play it means they're going to draw a card and they'll keep the worst one in their hand. So you're not even like surprising them with that discard. And then eventually, 2 turns later, you get a reanimation spell, which is good, but is it worth 5 mana investment in 2 turns of doing basically nothing? No, it isn't. This card is bad. It is not worth 5 mana. It's lined up horribly. Like, if this said each opponent discards 2 cards and it happened immediately, maybe. But that'd be still pushing it a little because they get to run something shitty out. Maybe it'd be good if it was that, though. It's just not good as this. It's so telegraphed, it's in the wrong order. It doesn't get you value. Yeah, it's not good. Squee the Immortal. I haven't played against this card yet, but I assume that somebody is going to be in love with this card. Go ahead, play it. It's like, I'm not going to say that you can't play cards like this. There are certainly worse cards you could play, but do not say it's a bomb, because it isn't. It's really slow. It's pretty bad. Don't think I need to talk about that too much. Gaia's Blessing. I've seen all these people just... What is it? What is it about 2-mana cyclers? It's just like people love them. I don't get it. It's a lot of mana to just cycle a card. Like, what are you getting out of this effect? You don't mill yourself to death? I've never seen that be an issue. Actually, there was one game, but that was because he was playing it pretty poorly, and he let me Howling Golem him out, basically. But other than that, which is like a less than 1% sort of thing, like, it's just never good. Never ever good. Yeah, anyway, Slimefoot the Stowaway. People love this card, and they love black-green, and they just want to play fungus and sapperling decks. I think, there's some nostalgia there for them, in which case, cool, you do that, you play your nostalgia deck. Seriously, I'm not going to criticize anybody for playing a bad deck, I'm just going to recommend what I prefer. So, yeah, take that for what it's worth. And by the way, I don't think black-green is necessarily bad. It just has black in it, which is awkward. I mean, you can play blue-green sapperlings and make it work. Tetsuko Umezawa is excellent with sapperlings, for instance. And you get access to, like, blue's infinitely superior list of cards. And Slimefoot the Stowaway, he's got good stats, but you really expect something a little more out of a multicolor card that drags you into black. So, as a whole, splash him or don't bother. You can splash him though. Yeah, he is okay to splash, but don't rate him that highly. He's something that will incidentally come up or not. Don't prioritize it unless it's at that point where you're speculating. Anyway, moving on. Sancto Spirit. I don't know. Apparently people love this card, and I'm the only one who keeps looking at it and saying, it's really disappointing. I'm not sure if I'm going to release my full card review, but I mentioned in the card review that if this was a 4-2, I'd love it. I'd love every part about this card. The art is gorgeous. If it was a 4-2, it'd be really threatening, and the ability might actually mean something. Or if it costs 3. I'd really rather it be a 4-2 and cost 4. But if it cost 3 and did this, it'd be fine. But it costs 4, and you're not getting a lot of stats. You get blanked on a 2-4 or better, and a lot of times people will just force you to have it. Like, they don't care about the second ability because you're discarding a historic card, and that's often a pretty good card. The lifelink is okay, but it's way overrated. I don't think it's even that playable. Anyway. Oh wait, did I really put this on overrated? I shouldn't have. Okay. Might have been a mistake. I might have clicked something else. Anyway, that's overrated. Let's go to underrated. Blessed Light. Now, whatever you think this card is, it's better. Like, this card is excellent. It is climbed in my already high expectations. It's just everything you want it to be and more. It kills sagas, it kills creatures, it does it at instant speed. It's in a format that justifies you being able to play easily 3 copies. You could definitely get away with 4 in some situations. So yeah, normally this sort of card gets a little bit outshone, but Blessed Light is one of the best removal spells in the format at common. I might even put it over the Destroy Target Creature in black. Like, it's just that good. The Exile clause is also relevant. There are a lot of things that bring creatures back from the graveyard in green, in black, Yeah, I think just those two colors. But in both those colors, you can bring permanents and other things back from your graveyard. So the XL clause has actually been a pain in my side on multiple occasions. So just really wonderfully good card. Very underrated, even by me, and I don't rate those things low. Dauntless Bodyguard. I know I said aggro is bad, but Dauntless Bodyguard is very good. He'll be underrated because he'll get in like 4 points of damage probably, and then he'll like kind of be outshone. But really, the fact that this guy is good in the late game is something that you need to consider in your evaluation. Knight creature type is actually not irrelevant either. On Sarah's Wings, this is like my favorite aura. Holy crap. I've had the pleasure of casting it twice now, and not had the displeasure of having to play against it yet, fortunately. How do you even beat this card? Like, you have to kill it, obviously. But the fact that the turn you play this, you just get like the most ridiculous swing on the board. Like, they have to have immediate response and stop you from getting the swing, or they're really far behind. This card's hella good. I even cast it once at instant speed with the blue-white legendary guy, which was awesome. Cloud Eater Sphinx, as I mentioned, best common in the set. So if you rated it anything but the best thing in the best common in the set, you're underrating it. You're doing it a disservice. This is uncommon level performance here. Like, card's hella good. Functional reprint of Into the Royal. It also, like, that card's just really good. Okay, Calico Skin Witch. Again, I don't like black, but if you are in black, you'll want one or two of these. Your opponent will have 2 cards to discard on turn 6, and often you're getting something good. Even if you're just getting lands, by the way, that is fine. A lot of decks will really feel like the 7th land they're missing. Like, it seems really weird, but this is always going to be good value. So yeah, first couple copies of this in black decks is just mandatory. Can't really afford to play a long game without it. I love this card. It's so good. So good. It's just, it roadblocks aggro, and then it kicks everybody in the balls because it just brings the instant or sorcery back. Wow. Like, imagine if you can play Archivist, but it gets instants back, and it's good against aggro. Like, I can't even picture that until I cast this card. Hella good. Really impressive. Gonna be underrated. Shivan Fire. Again, this is burst lightning. Basically. It doesn't deal damage to players, but that really doesn't matter. Ancient Animus. Instant speed fight card for 2 mana is good. I mean, instant speed fight cards are just very good in general. So do not underrate this. Every time I play green, I get like 3 or 4 copies, and I don't even have to prioritize them that highly. It's pretty ridiculous. Don't underrate this. This card is really good. Baloth Gorger. It's a 4 mana 4/4. Pretty much automatically makes it the best of the cycle. 4 mana 4/4s are just so strong. I mean, I guess it's competing with Chronicler, so it might not be the red card I just went over. So it's either the best or the second best. This card is a beast. It's going to be the biggest thing on the board, always. Grow from the Ashes. I talked about this, so we won't get too much into it. Land comes into play untapped, and for 3 mana you get supplemental value, but for 5 mana you get up to 7 mana. Suddenly you're in that kicker range. It's really nice. You splash colors with it. This card is insane. It's going to be one of the like low-key defining cards of the format, and yeah, you know when you want to pick this up. And early on it's pretty much always, as long as you're kind of in green. This card's ridiculous. To Toiva, I'm saying it's underrated because there was one draft where I got 3. I was just wondering what the fuck was going on. This card is splashable in any green deck if you're not already playing blue. Um, when you play it and immediately play land, it's just so nice. And then for the rest of the game, your lands are cyclers, you have no bad draws. Your land drops become extremely valuable because, like, not only are you drawing a card and gaining a life, but you're hitting those land drops, and a lot of decks in this format, as I mentioned, want to hit a lot of land drops, and every land drop actually does do something besides just drawing you a card. So, yeah, insane card. Very, very good. Very easy to splash in green, bit harder to splash in blue, but definitely splashable in blue too, with a card that we will get to. Guardians of Koilos is pretty nice. I like how Wizards has kind of established that artifact 4/4s for 5 that get a lot of grindy value are okay, as we've seen with Self-Assembler. This card, if you have 2 of them, they Gravediggers, so the first one dies, you play the second one, you get back the first one. The other one dies, you play the first one, get back the second one. So you can do that. You can also get back some pretty valuable things. Sagas and legendaries as well as other artifacts. But really just for the fact that it Gravediggers itself is good enough to consider it a pretty good common and definitely underrated. Last but certainly not least is my favorite little bug friend, Skittering Surveyor. Card's great. It is a Pilgrim's Eye. Basically, it doesn't have flying, but it has an extra toughness. And when you think about it, in this format, there's a lot of, like, X1s. So Skittering Surveyor does stop Sapperlings to some degree, and it just chump block. It gets edicted off of that stupid enchantment if somebody's actually playing it, which they probably will because they don't know any better. And it just fixes your lands. It lets you play 3 colors very easily. You don't even have to play green to play 3 colors because this thing is in the format, but usually you do want to. Yeah, this card is just a powerhouse, like, really nice card. It's also historic, if you care about that, which some things do care about that, so being historic is not irrelevant. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Dominaria format. I don't believe I'm missing anything at this point. No, I'm not. Okay, good. And I hope you guys have a fun pre-release. I hope you guys enjoyed the format as much as I have, because I've had a real blast with it. And have a nice day.